When I tell you that you have the incredible power to generate fire, it's a superpower. You can make fire. First concern needs to be don't burn down the wrong things. When I tell you that you have the incredible power to cause water to spring from the ground, you need to be concerned that you don't create a fountain right under the foundation of your house. When I tell you that you have the power to bring life to whatever you stare at, I assure you it matters tremendously. What are you going to stare at? This is our challenge. As we awaken, we have to learn before we succeed. Because if we don't, we're going to learn the hard way. We're going to bring fire to a forest that we want to thrive and grow and burn it down. We're going to bring water to a fountain right beneath our house and destroy our home. But the third is not a metaphor. The third is exactly how it works. What you stare at becomes more real. What you think about becomes more real. Now, it's not quite as simple as only think about positive things. This is one of the first places people go. It doesn't entirely work because plenty of things are real even when you don't stare at them. In such cases, you have to learn to stare at them in a way that brings healing. So you are staring at a dysfunctional dynamic, but you're staring at it in a healing way. This is a nuanced set of skills. And I invite you to commit to learning them. Here we go, right away. You're waking up and you start to stare at possibilities. See, we're talking about your third eye here. What your third eye sees brings life. So the vision of your third eye combs through your mind. First, you're brushing over a range of what's possible. This is good. Nothing to be concerned about. But gradually you get caught in chaotic, hectic changes, bouncing from theme to theme. Or you get caught in loops, frequently negative loops that take you through recurrent themes and then destroy them, and then create them and then destroy them. These are dysfunctional signs of an awakening vision, and today we're going to talk about how to handle it. I've been taking a little bit of a step back, and in this time, I've addressed frustrations beneath frustrations. I'm not going to speak to all of them because I don't need to. I've learned to see them in certain new ways that helps make them less pronounced. Beneath the beneath is a simple call. You got to get stronger. This goes for most of you, I'm sure, but it certainly goes for some of you. Because as you bring life into the world around you, you have to be strong enough to handle the repercussions. There's a tremendous in-between space where people start to awaken, their gifts start to impact the world around them, and they shrink back into elements of their own personality. This is dangerous. It's concerning on a level that you have to be careful with before it even starts to happen. It would be best if you could be concerned about this before it happens so you're a little more prepared. But for many of you, hopefully many of you who we find through these videos, it's happening. And so understanding it is only the first step, but you need to understand it. You are more powerful than you've ever been before. And thus, everything you look at becomes more real, including your fears, including your worries. It's a dysfunctional use of your own power. You can understand this through the solar plexus. The solar plexus is a lime green color. It's like money. Think of the solar plexus as your money, your spiritual money. What you invest your spiritual money in has more power. You've fueled it. When you're not paying attention to these themes, your worries get a big part of your budget. It's like people are just knocking at your door and you're like, well, I've got some money, so I'll give it to them. That's what your worries are. Now, in order to have a more dynamic and even healthy relationship with the current beneath the worry, you have to appreciate there is a current beneath the worry. There's something in it that was initially healthy, but it got out of hand. So if you grew a weed and then it got big, and then you're struggling with it at the size it is now, you don't recognize that initially it wasn't that. Initially, it was a seed, and if you'd eaten that seed, it would have been good for you. Or if you'd planted it over there, it would have worked well. But instead, it unconsciously started to grow in the middle of your space. This is what happens when people don't know how to believe in their own power. So I want to challenge you to recognize that this is the first step following just the start of understanding. You start to understand, and we want to channel your attention into the challenge to become stronger, willfully, intentionally. And honestly, I have many ways in which I'd encourage you to be stronger. Wild chakra yoga. Develop your practice and keep doing it. You could do this for the rest of your life. But what does it mean to you? What does strength mean to you? Because you carry a sense of what it is to be strong. You carry aspirations from your childhood about what success is, about what power is. And you need to address them. In some cases, you might need to embody them. And in some cases, you might need to embody something that puts those things in perspective. But you are essentially arguing with the little girl or boy who grew up wanting to be a princess or a dinosaur hunter or a stockbroker. I don't know. What were your dreams? Whatever they were, the presence of that resonance matters, because do not underestimate the power of a child's dream. Children are receiving pure spiritual light every day. They form that light into dreams. Those dreams have presence, and that presence lasts. You can't just discard it or disregard it because it's in the undercurrents of what you are. So you must embody something that can put your former dreams in perspective. Your only competitor here is yourself. And ultimately, you don't just want to win. You don't want to just be bigger or more vibrant or more real than your childhood dream. You want to recruit the child's mind within you to appreciate that you've got better insight now. This is better. You haven't given up. The child's going to be in there going, but I don't want to do that. Like, smart kid, smart kid. Your child is holding you to really high standards in a very beautiful way. And you can't just sit there going, well, that's not practical. We have to pay the bills. Child doesn't care. The child may lose to that argument, but it's not going to be recruited onto the team. And thus, you will be permanently in opposition to your inner child. You got to get your inner child to join. And in order to join, you actually have to let yourself be bent by the dreams and aspirations of the inner child. So once again, I circle this back to very simple. You got to get stronger. This is a must. I want you to learn to make a direct connection between worry and the need to go deeper in your practice. Deeper can happen in many different dimensions. You could practice more. You could practice harder, like more endurance. So you're getting your heart rate up there more and you're sweating. You could practice more strength. So you emphasize repetitions and attempting to hold difficult poses for longer periods of time. You could practice inflexibility, going really deep in a pose and being able to stay there. I've heard gymnasts learn to fall asleep in a front split. That's a training style. We could call that strength for the purposes of this challenge. What I'm suggesting is, by building these dimensions of your relationship with your body, you take worry and recruited onto the team. Worry is like a worried child vibration. Think of worry as childish, but not in a degrading way, in a potentially empowering way. When you recognize your worry as coming from a child mind, you can trace beneath the currents of the worry and recruit them into other activities. And again, I want you to appreciate if you can make a connection between worry or sort of, what's the word? When you're overly thinking about one theme, there's a good word for this. There's like rumination, like you're ruminating endlessly on negative possibilities. We want to make the connection in you that that is time for physical movement. This is very foundational. You need to appreciate that you can't really resolve your worries on the level that they exist because they're not really about what they are. Now, I'm not saying it's illegitimate to be concerned about this, or this, but the energy that's fueling your worry is not fundamentally from that theme. And you first have to convince yourself to get out of it because you are locked, staring. Your third eye is staring at a negative theme. And in that staring, you're pouring your life force into the theme. You can know that's occurring when the rumination is getting caught in these loops, same pattern coming back, and none of your thoughts have had an impact. You can't even remember the ways you've tried to address them or tried to calm yourself down because ultimately it's not about the thoughts. It's about a negative energy. And that negative energy has grown in you because you weren't conscious of your own power. And ultimately, it traces back down to your self-belief. The way you see yourself is not accurate. The seeming curse of an awakening vision is that things get worse. You start to see problems where you didn't used to see them. And they're genuinely more challenging problems than they used to be. So you could start to think of yourself as now, you used to have it together. You start to aspire towards a time before, a younger age, and you think you're humble. I just want to get that stability back. Does this ring a bell? This can happen when you find yourself you're in much deeper fear than you're admitting, right? It's really quite scary. And the fear comes from a very rational place. If you know that you can set fires simply through focusing for long enough, you need to be concerned until you have a very clear mastery over how to focus and when and where. You need to be worried. That's the initial seed. It's wise to be concerned. But you can't put this seed in an accurate place at the edge of your experience where you do want to worry. You can't put it there until you get your mind around the fact that now, already, you're far more powerful than you think you are. You can't wait for evidence. You can't wait for a perfect fire that is contained and lasts for 5 hours. You don't know how to do that yet, but you know how to bring the spark to life. And again, that's just the metaphor. The reality is, I'm telling you, what you see becomes more real. Your power of vision is infusing life force into what you're staring at. That means the people around you are enhanced by your presence, but it also means their negativities might be enhanced somewhat too. That means you think and the thoughts become more real than they used to be. This is ultimately an incredible superpower. You have the superpower of being able to manifest things more vibrantly, but you're still kind of an erratic driver. Know yourself. Often, very often, people are preventing themselves from believing in their power first. They're saying, somehow it's humble not to think I'm this powerful. Somehow it's like, oh, no, this other person's more powerful. That's not me. And that can happen because there's genuinely a negative ego potential. If people think that you're embodying Christ consciousness, you start thinking you're messianic and you start wondering if you can save people around you and bring people back from the dead. Now, likely as not, you don't really believe that. My suggestion is that you created a wall against even coming close because you thought you were being humble. And you can't afford this kind of humility anymore. It's inaccurate. If I can lift up a 100-pound weight easily, there's no virtue in pretending I can't. If I can lift up the 100-pound weight, but I don't know how to keep it stable, my lack of skill involves balance, but not strength. You already are a certain kind of spiritual strength. You already are this strong. I don't know exactly what the measure is, but it's true. And my guess is that for most of you here, you're stronger than you believe you are. This is not an exercise in blind faith. These are objective measures. You are stronger than you believe you are. You are having a greater impact on the world around you than you think, and you don't recognize your own influence honestly. And this is where you need to begin. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for your presence. Sam, bless you. Oh, that's sad. Bless you, Andy. Sorry you hate me. I wish you well in life. Tom. Hola, amigos. Trevor, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. Corey, bless you. I'm glad you're here. Holly, been a bit. Grateful for this time. I'm glad you're here. Anthony, what a crew. We got a crew here, man. So here's the thing. One of the most compelling relationships people can have to their own power is ultimately there's some reason that you don't know how to own it as your own yet, right? So you can't fully disconnect from the sense that you are as powerful as you are, but you can project it. So for instance, let's say someone is awakening, they're becoming more powerful, and they don't know how to believe that yet. They're using measures they have not met to measure. You've decided one thing's powerful. Like you've decided, I'm not really powerful until I make $100,000 a year. I'm not really powerful until I can do a handstand, or I'm not really powerful until I could do 50 push-ups. So that's your definition of strength, and you haven't met that, but you're still, the energy of power is still moving through you. When the energy of power is moving through you, if you haven't met the standards in your mind for what powerful is, it doesn't do one lick to change the truth of how much power is moving through you. And so typically what happens is you'll project it. You'll project it elsewhere. You'll project it into someone who can do these other things that you've listed as they matter. The thing is, plenty of folks want that from you. They want it because they're fed by external validation. And this is not an abstract thought game here. It's not a psychology trick. Prana exists in the world, and we have prana that moves through our bodies. But much of the energy that moves in and out of our bodies changes form. Some of it doesn't. People can be fed more by external prana than they are from within. And thus, they attempt to establish relationships with other people who do not believe in their full power, and then they sort of absorb that. This is like the social media era people, where folks are fed in this way and they need it. Now, it's not entirely a bad dynamic. It can be consensual and healthy. But for instance, if you don't understand what's happening, you could project your power onto someone else. And then some part of you is like, wait a second, I just lost my power. I hate you. I lost my power. You stole it from me. No one stole anything from you. Get over yourself. Your power comes in taking responsibility for the dynamics by which you share your power. I got this song running through my head. Halsey. I'm going to be much more mainstream, people. I don't know if that's how you say her name. How's it go? Oh, I got it out of my head. Damn it. Now I'm going to put it back in just to tell you guys the story. Da 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 da. I'm the one that put you up there. And she held him when he was down, right? So he came to her when he was down, and she picked him up, and she was taking care of him, and she was worried about him. She was worried about him. She didn't even want to leave him alone. I don't remember the exact lyrics. And then he rose and he took advantage of her and he left. And I want to be like, girl, don't do that. Don't do that. He didn't steal shit from you. You were trying to help someone when they were down because you felt safe, supporting someone when they were fragile. That's not a healthy foundation for a relationship, right? Her power does not rest in screaming at him to give back her power. He can't really give anything back. It's not up to him. If she's dependent on him giving something back, that's a very weak position. No, what she needs to do is don't do it anymore. Don't give away your power anymore because actually, power isn't a liquid. Prana is not liquid. It's about focus and then the enhancement of the vibration. All you can do is change the flow. Don't don't do it again. Don't do it tomorrow. Tomorrow you wake up, don't do it. Don't do it. They can't force you to do it. They could guilt trip you, they could pull you, they could try to get you to sign back up for the old deal. But once you realize the deal's not good for you, don't do it. Leave. Leave. Hating me is not going to get your power back. Hating him is not going to get her power back. But choosing to change the pattern, that works. That works. Look at it another way. In the 1970s, Lake Erie almost died. The entire ecosystem of the lake almost completely died. There was so much pollution because the only way they knew how to industrialize was to put factories next to the lake to cool down and to receive whatever toxic waste they were producing in the factories. And environmentalists from Canada and the neighboring states all got together and said, what are we going to do? So Ohio and New York, I don't know, I don't think Illinois touches it, right? Michigan touches. They all got together and they did their research. And you know what they determined? It was completely unrealistic to clean up the toxic waste. In fact, it wasn't necessary. What they needed to do was stop it from getting worse. So they changed the dynamic by shifting laws all around the lake to say you're not allowed to dump in the lake. And the lake on its own could handle some of it. We all have an intrinsic awareness that we can handle, we can digest some toxins because we can. Our bodies can move through a range of toxins and get rid of them. But proportions are all what matters. What are our limits? People typically have a poor relationship to their own limit. And beyond a certain point, your ability to digest toxins depends on you being able to recognize that you've taken on too much. If you've taken on too much and you're trying to digest more than your body can naturally do with a regular daily attitude, fulfillment of your allowance, your spiritual allowance can handle just like this much toxin. If you want to digest more than that, you're going to start sacrificing other elements of your life. And that'll take the form of distraction. That'll take the form of confusion. That'll take the form of lethargy. There are many things that could be signs that you're past your limits in one area. So realistically, you've got to get the amount of work that you're challenging yourself to do down within pretty significant limits. You don't want to be feeding yourself more toxic energy. But if you find that you're in a relationship with someone who depends on you to digest their pain, is it their fault? Now, look, they may well try to hold you there, and they may well take negative actions to control you and keep you there. But far more common is they're used to it. You kind of have lived in this deal. And so when you change, it's going to unsettle them. That doesn't mean they're a narcissistic abuser. And yes, you might see reflections of those patterns. What it does mean is they're unsettled. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. You got to say, no, I can't do these. And they may not understand it. They may not understand it because this is where your power is. In many, many cases, when people do not know themselves for the full and powerful beings that you are, folks are using their excess power to deal with things all around them without acknowledging fully to themselves that that's what's happening. And as soon as you start to realize it, it feels terrible. This is the seeming curse of your spiritual vision. You're going to wake up and you're going to start to see the truth in all these dynamics around you. And you'll see terrible people in those that you love. You'll see terrible people in those you love. What a curse! Why would I want this? Because your spirit is trying to show you where you can make the greatest impact on creating a healthier life for yourself and for the people around you. But you have to be able to see these things and be big enough to contain that. Of course, your mother has a vampire in her. Of course, your son has an abuser in him. Of course, your best friend has a narcissist in them. But recognizing whether these forces are truly dominant takes a little bit more patience. You need to be the person who's strong enough to be that patient, to keep a broad vision, and to learn to be at peace with a great deal of confusion around you. You have to be this strong. And the best way I know how to do that is to rechannel your energy back into a practice whenever you start to feel it. When you rechannel your energy back into your practice, you're building strength that will serve you to help make sense of all these other things. Do not go straight at insisting that all these other things make sense. Because you have to be clear on how deep your challenge is. You can't afford to dither around in your head, sitting still, picking your nose on the couch. For real. That is not what you are for. You need to learn to make a connection between negative rumination, where you're stuck on different themes, to realize this is a sign that your power is greater than it used to be. This is a sign that you are more powerful in the world. And as a result, you are seeing more of the negative things in the world. And as a result, your vision is getting trapped in a loop. Your greater power is fueling negative forces because you don't know how to focus your attention yet. And in order to learn how to focus your attention, you do your practice. Your practice is helping you unite mind, body, and spirit. You're building strength, flexibility, endurance, grace even in your body. So you're doing something. But you're also teaching your mind to participate in this process, taking care of your body, which draws down that negative thought loop. One of the best things you can do when your mind is going is get into your body and do a practice. Now, pretty soon I'm going to get up and do just, I don't know, a minute. I'm going to do a minute of something. This is one of the encouragements that I want to greatly amplify for you all. You could, every 20 minutes, you could do a pose. Every 20 minutes, you could just get up, do a little 1 minute stretch break. Now, that might be an unrealistic goal, but particularly when you're sitting at a computer, you could do this. And so I'm going to. So I'm going to do, I'm working on symmetrical kick-ups. So I'm going to do just some frog kicks. I'm not trying to do more than that. I'm just going to build my endurance a little. I'm going to invite you to get up and do something for 1 minute. And if you can't do it right now, do it a little bit soon, all right? And make it be something that is fun and challenging. That feels wonderful. When you reclaim yourself, it becomes utterly crucial that you ask yourself, what do you really want to create? Our spirit is not like a lake, not holy. It's more like a river. There's spirit flowing into you and there's spirit flowing out of you. If you don't know where it's going to go, it doesn't have anywhere to go. You get sick. The water festers within you. No matter how much you change, how much you can contain, the lack of flow through you makes you sick. As a result, you can't even dream of the dreams that would make you well, because your capacity to dream exists in relationship to your ability to sort of sink into the feeling of what it's like. So right now, I'm going to invite you, consider, what are you trying to create? If you say yes to it and then you say no to it, and then you say yes to it, and then you say no to it, understand that's what you're creating. You're creating yes, and then you're creating no, you're creating yes, you're creating no. Get your mind into the focus of what you want. It's okay to say no, but don't keep it looping. If you're realizing that you want your attention to be in a different place, where is that? And as you imagine it, appreciate. This is not about the ends. This is a different relationship to spiritual maturity and what you might want to call law of attraction. You're not doing this so you can get what you want. You're doing this because you are a channel of pure light and life. And that light and life have to go somewhere. Now, as it so happens, the more effectively you learn to pray and create, the more the world increases your allowance, so to speak, increases the flow that moves through you. Because you're a worthy investment. It's working. It's beautiful. Rain collects into little streams, into creeks, into rivers, into a relationship of flow. Some rain collects in swamps. It's true. You don't want to be a swamp. It's not a pleasant experience in life, and most of us have some swampy areas within ourselves. Your practice is a primary place where you begin to channel that and change it. And I'm going to encourage you to appreciate that the addictive quality of the practice is just transcendent. I've had several reassurances lately that I've entered spaces where I'm generating vibrations that are yesterday, I got a profound, I'm generating vibrations that are literally more intense than meth. Now, I've been exposed to meth enough to know that that's likely true. And the beauty of such is that when you can generate energies on your own that are more vibrant than potentially unhealthy energies that are present in the world around us, you get to do two things. First of all, you are self-medicating. People get addicted to extremes, whether drugs or experiences. People get addicted to such things. They're self-medicating for something. They're trying to generate an energy that is more prominent than something else. They're being chased, and they're trying to find a way to master that. And when you know that you can skydive and sort of erase your memories of trauma, or you can do meth and erase your memories of trauma, feels like a victory. It feels like, well, hey, nobody else understands because this makes more sense. But if you don't get your vision into looking at why it works this way, you'll never find a better way. The advantage of an incredible spiritual practice is you gain mastery over these forces in a way that's healthy. Now, you can do too much yoga, You can. I mean, it's possible. If you use your endurance for more than 2 hours at a high peak, basically don't do that too much. But certainly, you could do an hour a day and your life would be better for it. Now, I don't. I don't. I aim for 2 or 3 hour long practices a week, and I often only do one. And I'm fine with that. I'm just like, oh, I would feel better if I did more, but I limit it too. Okay. But until you get to these limits, stop whining. Like, I want you to learn to let your dysfunctions be reminder bells to get you to do something that's good for you. I want you to do this. This connection, forging this connection, absolutely unparalleled. I read a story recently about a guy who made a commitment. He would go to the gym every day. That was his commitment. He went to the gym every day. For most of the first month of doing this, he just went there, went into the locker room, went to the bathroom, and left. But that established a pattern and it started to feel easy. And he waited until it felt like, okay, he wanted to go in there and use the treadmill. This is what you're doing. You're taking it step by step. And do not underestimate how powerful it is just to roll and unroll your mat. I've decided I am rolling my mat back up. I'm finding that it's not actually there's a ritual in rolling and unrolling your mat. There's a beauty to it. I'm going to encourage you to do that. And I'm also going to encourage you to just do yoga on the wood, do yoga on the sidewalk. Definitely, definitely, definitely do it in the clothes, whatever you're in, just a little. Teach yourself to embody a different state of vibrancy. It's worth it. It's worth it. Angie, I think I gravitated to this Daniel, I hate you message a little too quickly. I'm going to tune in because there's a deeper way than this. Breathe with me in the heart. Find the rhythm that's good for you. Sense around the heart. Is there a difference between the left and right side, the front and the back? Energy moves very naturally in certain patterns within us. The more we practice the key ring, the more the energy flows through this cycle. Heart to crown to throat to sacral to nose to solar plexus, diamond eye, lungs, root, chin, navel, third eye, heart. Energy also moves in these themes: love, divinity, communication, intimacy, guidance, prayers, dreams, plans, community, transformation, power, vision, love. In the same way, energy moves literally from chakra to chakra, it moves between these themes in our lives. And at a certain point, you establish an awakening flow. So your Kundalini wakes up a little in the root, and that energy wants to move to the chin. So immediately after you get your energy to awaken, or it happens on its own through whatever mechanisms, You're driven to transform. And the energy of transformation in this takes you into a space of not knowing. And the gift of this is you don't have to know. If you can learn to recognize the character of the chin starting to act up, first, you can rest in the chin more, which means literally breathe with the chin. Breathe and focus here. It's like the eye of a storm during times of transformation. But second, you get to let yourself know you're not going to know. Right now, you're not going to know what it's like. And as you identify the character of the worries that work this way, you get to just keep bringing yourself back to this trust. The chin is trust also. The trust is you're not in a position to know. You're not in a position to see what this is going to be like. You're not in a position. The energy's moving. It's flowing. Where does it want to go from the chin? Once you trust, where does it want to go? It wants to go to your power. Here's the beauty of your power. Power is also, the navel chakra here is, it also holds your identity. So when you know you're coming out of it, you're coming into a time of change and you're coming out of your kind of worrying space of not knowing where things go, this flow suggests put your attention into getting stronger. And the intense gift of working with your core in your navel is that as you bring power into this space, you will naturally flush out challenges. Now, your navel is also focused through your intestines. This is literally where you hold your shit. And the themes bear out. You look at the physical level in this regard, so many people are carrying the gut biome of a negative way of life. You're carrying the presence of bad food. Now, I am struggling with this more than ever right now because my diet's sank. Like I've lost a little weight, but I'm still not eating the things that are best for me. And I know from that truth that my gut biome is off. That means the lining of the intestine holds some of the junk that our bodies can't digest. Spiritually, this is how it works too. It means when you're feeding yourself the wrong things, some of that remains trapped inside you because your body can't even use it. It can't use it, and it doesn't even know what to do with it. So it doesn't even know that a lot of these chemicals and artificial whatevers, it can't say, this goes to the kidney, this goes to the liver, this goes, because it's not even food. The body just goes, and it gets stuck in the way. Spiritually, the same thing happens. When you commit to building your power in your core, you're just whoosh through this space. And what you're doing is you're starting a movement of life force that's going to naturally push those things out. It's like increasing the water in a river, and it starts to, the greater intensity will move out rotten logs, pun intended. The greater force pushes out things, and this is the scary part. The greater force pushes out things that don't belong in you. But you don't always know what belongs in you by thought. Your mind has a relationship to a variety of forces that is largely inaccurate. I'm suggesting that most people participating, listening, present with us have some themes in your life that you have an inaccurate understanding of. And because you have an inaccurate understanding, you are essentially holding negative, toxic things. Cheese that comes from cows that have been abused is not good for you. But you might have a childhood association with that cheese that is loving. I do. We just had a pizza for my daughter's birthday. She really loves pizza. And we got this pizza that was the party pizza when I was a kid from the same place. And I was shocked because I never eat this pizza. I haven't eaten it in like 15 years. I ate it and I was like, I love this. I love that pizza in a way that's real. I tasted it and I loved it. Where did that love come from? The child in me. That was my love. That wasn't the pizza. That was my love. The pizza was a delivery system for the love that I gave the pizza that I took back into myself. This is what people are doing at so many levels. You're making trades, and the best part of the trade is that you get your own energy back in many cases. So for whatever reason, you're giving your energy to something that's not very good for you, and then you're receiving it back and going, wow, this is really special. What you want to do is give that energy to something that is really good for you. Hence, your practice. When you set this in motion, you create a terrifying dynamic that trust becomes all the more crucial because the spirit knows. You could struggle. You could struggle a lot, and you probably are struggling a lot. You are used to struggling in a way that is not necessary and not healthy for you. But you're so used to it that perhaps you haven't even considered that it's possible to change. And even more likely, you have some idea of what change would be that's wrong or inaccurate, and you think you're failing because you don't live that out. The reality is, your struggles are wrapped around a misunderstanding of your own power. That's where you have to come from. You can't wait for evidence that you're a divine being. You have to be the divine being in order to understand the confusions you're trapped in. And as this divine being, you're going to set in motion this enhanced flow. It's already happened. It's already started. We're going to enhance it. Your Kundalini has released. Shakti's pouring through your river, and it wants to go stronger. And you have to live with the sense, the trust that it's a knife. It's going to cut right through the bullshit. Your ideas about negative things in your life don't matter. You are giving power to spirit to help you make these choices. And the spirit's going to say, that's not me. That doesn't belong here. Get out. And it's past your mind. And that's scary. You might not think it's scary, but it's scary because you're allowing the process to go beyond the level at which you can control. Now you can't control it anymore. But you can still channel it. See, this is the shift. To let go of a sense that you could like pick up this part of water and put it here and fill up this cup of water and dump it in this pot and fill up this cup of water and dump it in this pot. I'm going to fill up this cup of water and dump it in I want to be a painter. I'm going to fill up this cup of water and I'm going to dump it in I want to go on a vacation. You might be really sad that you haven't made these dreams real. You haven't become a professional artist and you haven't gone on your vacation. But I promise, I don't like that phrase. I invite you to trust that the real reason you're not making your dreams real is because you're afraid of being that powerful. You're afraid of it because you know full well you have to keep moving it. You don't just get what you prayed for. If you're praying to become an artist and to be able to go on these vacations, you're going to get more than that. It's going to change how you relate to the other people in your life. It's going to change how you relate to the community that you live within. You're going to start to feel responsible for things you didn't understand before. You're going to start to attract people to you who can learn from who you used to be. Because that's Dharma. As you leave old patterns behind, you will attract people who need help graduating from those problems. Thank you very much. It's been a bit. I appreciate it. Graduating from old problems turns you into a different kind of person. And I suggest, I encourage, I invite you to respect that the reason you're not graduating from your problems and moving into your dreams is because you're afraid of the power. For a long, long time, I've prayed to be better at handstands. I've finally gotten it. It's compulsive. I'm doing handstands all day long. I have to set myself a new challenge, these curl handstands with the frog kick up, just in order to contain the energy. And there's a quiet terror in the fact I can't get off this train. but I don't want to. Own. You gotta own it. You gotta want this. Because it's the difference between letting the wave crush you and riding it. It's the difference between moving with the current and trying to oppose the current and getting bashed into the rocks. Right now, likely you don't even know how to keep your boat straight sometimes. I invite you to respect that the only solution to these challenges is to accept that the dream itself has to go beyond something that you control. You are no longer the person who could say, I want to be this and make it real. This is classic manifestation kind of thinking, right? I want this, I'm going to make it real. No, we're going to take this a little further. And we're going to say, I'm setting this in motion. I want to go that way. I will do the work to go that way. And I know I won't know. I know that I won't know what happens. I know that I can't know what will happen, that it will go beyond my capacity to appreciate or understand ahead of time. This is the chin. This is the energy that draws energy up from your root. When you are well with this trust, when you are comfortable in not knowing, that's when your dreams start to become real. And to hold this and to maintain it and to keep it moving is to realize that spirit loves you. The earth loves you. She knows you very well. You crashed into her with all that you are. She knows you better than you know yourself. She's not in doubt that you've lived other lifetimes. She is not in doubt about the needs you deny. She sees them, they exist. In fact, many beings see you more honestly than you see yourself, certainly on certain levels. If you live in the ground floor of your house, it doesn't change the fact that you have a second floor and an attic just because you don't go up there. And other spiritual beings see your second floor. It's not potential. They see the existence, the presence of you as bigger and more powerful than you are. And they treat you as that person. And they poke you and they say, why aren't you going there? This is you too. This is also you. Why aren't you doing this? And you're blocking them out because you don't even know how to accept the truth that this is who you really are. We are not vaguely getting you to believe in something until it exists. It exists. It exists on a level of reality that it's up to you to make real on the material plane. We are living in a world that has so many facets that we have largely trained ourselves to forget. You live out potentials. As soon as you learn to connect energetically with another human from an awakened spirit, you can live out the potential for a wide range of possibilities with them without even having to act it out in the real world. Your spiritual vision gains so much power that you can look at someone with attraction and live out a marriage and realize that it's a bad idea. Not only do you have this potential, likely some of you are already living like this, and it doesn't work this way. It doesn't work this way nearly as well until you believe it. Once you believe it, you begin to recognize that this is just dense. This world we live in is dense. It's dense, compressed energy, but the same patterns we live through can be worked out in something that's more akin to a dream. And when you work something out in a way that's more akin to a dream, your spirit goes, "Oh, that could work." And then you bring it to life. You've been doing this. You've been doing this for years. You're holding dreams that you know full well matter deeply to you, and you're probably scared to let them out of your hands because you know they'll be changed. And you have to trust on the deepest of levels that the love of the earth herself is kind of smarter than you are. If she's going to change it, she's going to change it for the right reasons. And if it changes for the wrong reasons, if it changes in ways that you don't like, that's simply a challenge to teach you how to master the energies that cause that to happen. Everything that we live through puts us in a position to be more adept at living. everything. There are lots of ways to say this that you've heard. Think of it energetically. You are confronting flows of energy every day. Some of them you understand as yourself, and some of them you think of as external. The truth is often a mixture of the two. But the even deeper beauty is that even when an energy is introduced to you that was wholly not you, as soon as you come into contact with it, your spirit has the potential to learn to embody it. We are living in a world that is far more dynamic than we understand. There are consciousnesses that represent the real life forces in our lives, the political parties in your community that run things, the business leaders, the creative possibilities, the new artists that exist that you could read about in the news. All of these forces have a higher spiritual presence that is more aware of the true story than we are from a consciousness space within these bodies. You can learn to interact with this potential from an awakened spirit. An awakened spirit can connect with the forces that guide the earth and ask them for perspective. And they want to work with you. And as you train yourself to look at health, as you train yourself with your sacred vision, to invest what you look at, in your mind and allow it to be guided by your heart. This is not vague. If your mind is coming up with charged ideas, just doubt it a little. The world is littered with pools of dysfunctional energy that most people don't want to be made real. We don't want them to be made real. When your eyes connect to those energies, you will feel a charge. This is the seeming curse of the power that you've begun to unveil. You will find the hidden confusions all around you on the spiritual plane, and it may often feel like it's not worth it. You want to go back to the way it used to be, and there's no way back. As you train yourself to focus on loving potentials, as you train yourself to accept the challenges that do come into your life, along with the skills that are necessary to navigate them well, you bring your attention back into what you really want to make. And that's what I'll leave you with today. What do you really want to make real? What do you really want to make real? I want at least 150 people who are in the sanctuary. I really want this. I want about 40 people doing sessions with me, maybe 70, 80 doing the courses. Once we make this real, we'll see. we'll see where it goes from there. But this is a dream I know that I could trust. But I also know as I put it into motion, the world may take it away, turn it into something beyond what I can imagine. I received that response this morning in meditation. She said, I need to teach people in person. I have not wanted to. I have greatly enjoyed the safety and empowerment of working from my home, being near my baby daughter. But she's 3 now. My daughter just turned 3 last week. We had a wonderful party for her on Sunday. It was awesome. And as she turned 3 and I watched her moving in this circle of friends and family, we have friends that are friends with all of us. So there are adults at her party too. We have a circle of a community around her. And I watched her in this and I got to see her through other people's eyes. She's not a little baby anymore. I need to teach in person in order to meet the dreams that I've wanted with you, through the internet, a more global community. I've refused to do that, but this is what the world asks of me, and I know that it's in the way of any other progress. This is how it'll work for you. The more clearly you frame your dream, the more important it is that you listen for the response that says, yeah, I'll help you make something close to that real, but I need you to do this also. And the way the world changes your dreams makes them better. Trust this. And when you're in doubt, bring it back into your practice, where you know that your energy will be well invested and will make the world a better place, because it will make you a better place for your spirit to live. I love you. I will see some of you soon in the sanctuary meditation. Please visit the website community tab if you're interested to know more about what that is. And once you're in, we can talk much more interestingly, intimately, in a lot of fun ways in the sanctuary. It's a safe space for our community to grow. And I invite you to join us. See you soon. Much love be with you and your families.